There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
What we saw in Syria last week should shock the conscience of the world. It defies any code of morality.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Let me be clear. The indiscriminate slaughter of civilians, the killing of women and children and innocent bystanders by chemical weapons is a moral obscenity.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
By any standard, it is inexcusable, and despite the excuses and equivocations that some have manufactured,
we cannot have a situation where chemical or biological weapons are falling into the hands of the wrong people.
It appears that there were not weapons of mass destruction there.
Syrian government officials continue to point the finger at rebel forces, saying that they are the ones that used chemical weapons on civilians last week.
Our concerns are that an increasingly desperate Assad regime might turn to chemical weapons.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Or might lose control of them to one of the many groups that are now operating within Syria.
Syrian government officials continue to point the finger at rebel forces.
It is correct that the president is working with his national security team, reviewing the options available to him to respond to the clear violation of an international norm by the Syrian regime with the use of, on a significant scale, chemical weapons.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Whether Bashar Assad had used chemical weapons, and I will quote from the operative part, our intelligence community does assess with varying degrees of confidence that the Syrian regime has used chemical weapons on a small scale. And
it appears that there were not weapons of mass destruction there.
The President of the United States said that if the Bashar Assad used chemical weapons, it would be a game changer.
Well, first of all, I have it wrong.
No doubt that when you start seeing chemical weapons used on a large scale,
intelligence gathered by this and other governments leaves no doubt that the Iraq regime continues to possess and conceal some of the most lethal weapons ever devised.
in terms of us making sure that weapons of mass destruction are not proliferating, as well as needing to protect our allies, our bases in the region. So,
the President of the United States said that if the Bashar Assad used chemical weapons, it would be a game changer, that it would cross a red line.
Our people are going to find out the truth, and the truth will say that this intelligence is good intelligence, no doubt in my mind.
I don't know anybody that I can think of who has contended that the Iraqis had nuclear weapons.
And we believe he has, in fact, reconstituted nuclear weapons.
Saddam Hussein is determined to get his hands on a nuclear bomb. We cannot wait for the final proof. He's got him. He's got him. The smoking gun. He's got him. That could come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
Chemical weapons have been used.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Everyone acknowledges their use.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
No one doubts that innocent men, women, and children have been the victims of chemical weapons attacks in Syria.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
And there is no doubt who is responsible for this heinous use of chemical weapons in Syria.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
For we know that the Syrian regime are the only ones who have the weapons.
Meanwhile, the UN has rejected Washington's claims that the Syrian government used chemical weapons, saying it wasn't at all convinced. Well, these accusations were followed by a US decision to provide weapons to the rebels.
What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says there's not enough evidence to blame the Syrian government for this attack, and says there's actually substantial evidence and a lot of common sense suggesting Syrian opposition forces were responsible. And he's also cast doubt on the authenticity of some of those videos which appeared online claiming to show the aftermath of the chemical weapons attack.
We said from the first second, and we are saying it again, that we have never used, not in Ghouta nor anywhere else in Syria, chemical weapons in any shape or form, liquid gas or otherwise. We have not done this in the past, the present, nor will we in the future.
He said there were three main reasons for going to war in Iraq: weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein has gone to elaborate lengths, spent enormous sums, taken great risks to build and keep weapons of mass destruction.
The claim that Iraq was sponsoring terrorists who had attacked us on 9/11.
Before September the 11th, many in the world believed that Saddam Hussein could be contained.
And that Iraq had purchased nuclear materials from Niger.
The regime is seeking a nuclear bomb.
All three of those turned out to be false.
First, just if I might correct a misperception, I don't think we ever said, at least I know I didn't say, that there was a direct connection between September the 11th and Saddam Hussein.
Who does the president think he's kidding?
Of course, it was information that was mistaken.
There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it.
Those weapons of mass destruction have got to be somewhere. Nope, no weapons over there. Maybe under here.